Sorry,
It ain't gonna change.
Sorry, what?
It's not gonna change.
Sorry.
You know how much he got left in that tank, don't you?
Oh, I know.
Yeah, it's for the paycheck for you.
The press conference between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn didn't just boil over, it exploded. What began as routine promotion turned into pure chaos when Eubank's coach stormed the mic and unleashed one of the most personal verbal attacks British boxing has seen in years.
I don't want to hear that. Shut up. Hey! Shut up. Shut up.
Wait, what?
He didn't hold back. He tore into Conor Benn with every ounce of conviction, his words cutting like blades. "Your son doesn't have it," he said directly to Nigel Benn, his voice filled with venom. "No power, no discipline, no future." Every sentence carried venom.
Be a little bit easier this time. For the simple fact he already got his number. It's hard to get away from when somebody already didn't beat your ass. That's hard because it's already stuck in you.
Uncertainty, echoing through the room like thunder. It wasn't just trash talk. It was a declaration of dominance. He believed, without question, that Chris Eubank Jr. would dismantle Conor Benn all over again. Conor tried to interject, but the coach barked back. "I don't want to hear that. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up!"
You know, I live for this. I've had the fight over 100 times in my head. You know, for me, it's just focusing on the training, you know, removing myself from my comfort zones, my familiarities, my family, and, you know, fully dialing in. You know, I'm not going to lower myself to Chris and go back and forth and, you know, all that PR's done. I'm excited to get in there and put my hands on him Saturday night.
The crowd roared as security edged closer, sensing how close this was to turning physical. Then, from nowhere, Bomac jumped in. The tension doubled. He ignored protocol completely, grabbed his mic.
But I think this fight's just gone tough on the total.
It's absolutely grabbed the public interest now to another level, isn't it?
This is quite simply the biggest fight this country's ever seen.
And added even more fuel to the fire. Bomac looked straight at Conor Benn and said coldly, "You're mentally beaten. You're finished." The arena gasped. No one expected that level of brutality from a coach in a live press conference. This wasn't promotion.
You know, I could get hurt in spars with guys, but after I sparred you once, I know how to deal with you for the rest of my life. And with Conor, it's no different. I know his weaknesses, I know his strengths, I know his capabilities, his limits.
Anymore. It was warfare. The tension was so thick you could feel it vibrating through every camera lens, every gasp from the audience. Conor Benn tried to respond, tried to reclaim some composure. But you could hear it, the crack in his voice, the frustration boiling under the surface. His reply was forced calm, his tone defensive.
Really his style, Conor Benn. Conor Benn's not a massive puncher, not even at welterweight, so really he's kind of mugged himself off a little bit by saying, "I'm going to knock this guy out." He didn't give Eubank enough respect. Like I say, he was throwing shots at several points in that fight, and he wasn't even looking where they were going. It was just like head down, just winging the shots over.
He spoke about discipline, focus, and lessons learned. But it sounded more like a man trying to convince himself he still believed. The damage was already done. The verbal assault had landed. Tony Bellew summed it up perfectly when he called the scene complete chaos.
Big for the casual fans. Do we condone it? I mean, in boxing terms, should that happen at a head-to-head? Of course not, but these things do happen. This is the fight business, and it's just made it even bigger, and we wait to see what happens.
And pure gold for the sport. The hype wasn't just high, it was historic. This rematch had transcended the ring and become something bigger, a national spectacle, a grudge match that blurred the line between pride and vengeance. Chris Eubank Jr., meanwhile,
follow the weight classes. You have to follow directions and orders, and that's why we have weight classes. For 1 pound makes a huge difference. I mean, this guy was almost fainting trying to make
there with unsettling calm. No shouting, no anger, just quiet, deadly confidence. His body language said everything. He's been here before. He studied Conor Benn, analyzed every twitch, every mistake. To Eubank, this wasn't a fight.
I think Conor Benn will be better in the second fight.
Yes.
Does that mean that you think that by him being better, and there's no more left for Chris Eubank, that Conor Benn's able to bridge the gap,
Yes.
get an outcome in the second fight?
Without a doubt.
You do.
He couldn't have done any more. If he could have knocked out Conor in that fight, he would have done.
Yeah.
He just couldn't get rid of him. And Conor stuck it. So regardless of him being surprised that Conor stuck it out a lot more, he couldn't get
Anymore. It was a solved equation. The puzzle was complete. He believes the outcome is already written. That calmness, that composure, that eerie control. That's what makes Eubank so dangerous. He thrives in chaos. When everyone else loses their head, he sharpens his focus. Duke McKenzie explained it best. Conor Benn's talking about knockout power he doesn't even have, he said. At welterweight, he was average. At this weight, he's punching through mud. Eubank took his best shots and didn't even blink. Conor's overconfidence is turning into comedy.
Personally, I just think the last performance of Chris, I thought you've got nothing left. You've got nothing. There's no more improvement on what I'm seeing there. And I know there was the weight issue and all the build up to it. I thought there's no more improvement there.
Does that mean you think there's? Do you think Conor Benn will be better in the second fight?
Yes.
Does that mean that you think that by him being better, and there's no more left for Chris Eubank, that Conor Benn's able to bridge the gap, get an outcome in the second fight?
It was harsh, but fair. Adam Smith, ever the professional, tried to keep it diplomatic. But even he couldn't deny the truth. Controversy sells, he said. And this press conference didn't hurt the fight. It supercharged it. The insults, the hostility, the raw emotion, it all built toward something volatile and unpredictable. The country was divided, the boxing world alive with speculation. Could Conor Benn actually back up a single word? Eddie Hearn, always the promoter trying to balance chaos and control, sounded like a man trying to tame a storm. Conor fights with emotion.
So I think he'll get a lot more people wanting to tune into that fight, and obviously we're going to win the next fight. And but yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting Conor Benn ready to fight, and it's going to be historic.
Not intelligence, he said bluntly. And against a seasoned boxer like Eubank, that's suicide. Swinging wildly looks brave, but it exposes you. Think before you throw. It was advice Conor needed to hear, but whether he'll follow it is another question. Johnny Nelson gave Ben a sliver of hope, but even his tone was dipped in doubt. Maybe he's improved a little, Nelson said. But Eubank's ring IQ is the difference. He's already figured Conor out once. That knowledge doesn't fade. Nelson respected Conor's confidence, but was realistic about it.
Like I say, the fight wasn't a letdown because it was a good fight. But as an event, you won't get a better event than that. And they'll have to go some, actually, to surpass that or even equal that. Let's just hope they get the same turnout in terms of the numbers. People going through the live gate and watching that fight, because it was a great event. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes. You won't get world title fights that actually are a better event.
About what wins fights. Youth doesn't beat composure, he added. Energy doesn't replace intelligence. And he was right. Chris Eubank Jr. has seen it all. Wars, upsets, heartbreaks, and comebacks. That experience gives him an edge no training camp can replicate. Johnny Nelson's small lifeline for Ben felt like hope, stretched too thin. Passion may fuel a fighter, but intelligence wins battles. Eubank has both. He knows how to stay calm, how to read chaos, how to strike when it matters most. Tony Sims, on the other hand, was all in for his man. The loyalty was admirable, but the confidence sounded forced. "We're going to win," he said with conviction.
And I don't think at this stage Eubank can do a lot more else. He'll try and do what he did, on fight night. It's whether he can go so well again. I don't think so. If the fight becomes as hard and it has the pace and ferocity of the first fight, I'd be very surprised and I'd be amazed if Eubank can do it.
Yet, saying it doesn't change the reality that Eubank already broke Conor once. That first fight isn't forgotten, Fans remember. They remember how Eubank stayed composed while Conor unraveled. They remember how control beat chaos. Sims sees motivation, but Eubank sees predictability. The more Benn talks about legacy, the more pressure he piles onto himself. Eubank thrives under that weight. Benn cracks beneath it. Sims's enthusiasm was heartening, but history may be about to repeat itself. Duke McKenzie couldn't hide his excitement for the rematch. "This is what boxing's about," he said. "Drama, pride, unfinished business." He's right. This rivalry has reignited British,
but they're just not the same size. Rehydration clauses should not be a thing in boxing. I know IBF have a £10 morning after ruling, but it's just not safe. The term rehydration clause just don't sound safe. Rehydration clause, just don't agree with it. Eubank's been up at super middleweight, and now they're going to drag him down to near light middleweight. I don't like it.
British boxing in a way few others can. The first fight wasn't just a bout. It was theater, an emotional roller coaster of legacy and pride. But beneath the entertainment lies a simple truth. Skill decides everything. Conor brings fire, but Eubank brings control. Benn brings emotion. Eubank brings calculation. This fight isn't about hype anymore. It's about redemption versus exposure. And deep down, the question lingers. Can Conor survive the same storm twice? Dave Coldwell entered the debate with calm precision. He respected both men, but hinted at concern for Eubank's ability to dig deep again. But that's where he might underestimate him. Because when people doubt Chris Eubank Jr., he becomes sharper, hungry.
Fight, and I think Eubank Jr., if he gets this win, and there's a new lease of life maybe under Bomac, 2026, maybe finally he could become a world champion. But he's got to get past Conor Benn first, and Conor Benn, not just hungry for revenge, he believes he can win this because of what happened first time round, because he went 12 rounds at middleweight, up in class, after a long layoff. Some people fancy Benn in this.
Hungrier, more dangerous. That first fight wasn't luck. It was discipline and execution at their peak. Tactical dominance, calculated aggression, and mental steel. Eubank doesn't crumble under pressure. He becomes pressure. Coldwell's doubts only fuel him. Fighters like Eubank are built from adversity. Every loss, every insult, every setback, he turns it into energy. He doesn't fade. He evolves. And if Conor Benn walks into this rematch thinking Eubank's slowing down, he's walking straight into a nightmare. Dave Allen touched on something deeper, the weight, the infamous rehydration clause that nearly ruined the first fight. Eubank fought drained, restricted, and still looked like a warrior. Allen called it for what it was. These clauses aren't fair.
This would sell out any stadium in the UK. I was going to say in the world there, but probably not in America because that many people wouldn't fly over. It would sell out a lot. But the fight location still hasn't been announced yet, but I do know that it's going to be on September 20th. Now,
science experiments, not fights. Eubank is a natural middleweight who thrives unrestricted. Yet Benn's camp insists on manipulating the scales. That tells you everything about their confidence. They want a limited Eubank, not the real one. But even restricted, Eubank's discipline makes him deadly. He's proven he can handle adversity. And if this time he steps into that ring unrestricted, focused, and fueled by redemption, then Benn's team will regret ever trying to play games with the weight. Adam Smith, ever the observer of careers and legacies, framed it perfectly. For Eubank, this isn't just redemption, it's resurrection. A win reignites his world title dreams. It reshapes his career. Under his new trainer, his composure is refined, his IQ sharpened, his confidence unshakable. He's not fighting just to silence Conor.
Can only harm him. Because that was a hard fight, the first one. This one will be another hard fight, whoever wins, unless there's a real freak occurrence, not a freak occurrence, unless someone gets caught with the shot really early, then it's going to be a hard night. Which you still have to make Eubank the favourite again, like I did the first time.
Benn. He's fighting to reclaim his seat among the elite. Conor might believe he's improved, but belief doesn't win fights when your opponent's evolving faster than you can catch up. The last fight showed levels. Eubank controlled pace, distance, and psychology. He dismantled Conor's rhythm. And this time, with everything on the line, he's colder, smarter, and even more dangerous. For Conor Benn, this is career-defining. For Chris Eubank Jr., this is legacy. Tony Jeffs hit the emotional core. "This isn't just a rematch," he said. "It's a reckoning." Both men are driven by fire, but for very different reasons. Eubank fights for validation, legacy, and respect. Benn fights for redemption, to silence critics and prove he's more than his father's shadow. It's dangerous ground. When emotion mixes with pride, technique evaporates. The pressure on Conor is suffocating. His reputation, his image, his very identity rides on this fight. For Eubank, it's simpler. This is personal vindication. He's been written off, doubted, mocked, and he's had enough. He's fighting to say one thing to the world: I'm still here. I'm still elite. Barry Jones closed the discussion with cold precision. "The risk is all on Conor Benn," he said. "He's chasing redemption, but he's stepping into another war he's not built for. Eubank has already proven he can handle it." Barry's words weren't opinion, they were truth, backed by evidence. The first fight revealed the gap between them: composure, class, and control. Eubank fought like a man who'd seen it all. Benn fought like a man desperate to prove he belonged. That dynamic hasn't changed. Eubank's chin, timing, and rhythm remain elite. Conor's still reckless, still emotional, still vulnerable. Unless lightning strikes, this rematch looks destined to repeat itself. Another bruise on Benn's career, another reminder that Eubank owns this rivalry. Because this isn't just boxing anymore, it's personal. It's legacy versus pride, control versus chaos. Chris Eubank Jr. fights for redemption, a man proving experience and composure still rule the sport. Conor Benn fights for respect, desperate to escape the weight of his father's name and silence every critic. But history favors discipline over emotion, and Eubank thrives when everything's on the line. One mistake from Benn, one lapse in control, and it's lights out again. This isn't hype anymore. It's a grudge with consequences, a battle not just for victory, but for identity. So, who are you backing? The composed technician, Chris Eubank Jr., or the fiery challenger, Conor Benn? The answer will decide more than a winner. It'll decide who truly carries the future of British boxing.